Milwaukee's on the verge of something great, something new. Get involved, become a friend, help the new state.
When we talk about health issues and mental health, and we look at the paradigm in which we're faced with today, that is indicative of the money and the resources that were not available in the programs implemented during that time. We are where we are now, and I think we have to embrace and understand the issues that we are confronting, and then find a way to deal with it. Infusing the economics to make sure that we have programs aligned that will, in essence, allow us to marginalize a problem or come in control of it, so that then we can start to break some of those barriers down that we're faced with now, that has a great impact on the youth, has a great impact on the criminal justice system, that trickles into pretty much everything that we do.
Because I feel like if that spotlight is really put on, Milwaukee youth, it'll shine and we'll all shine. So, yeah.
Thank you.
It's one of the most segregated cities, and it's structured by economics, right? And so when we start to look at breaking down health disparities and looking within the neighborhoods, we really need to create a space where individuals have access, not only access to services, treatment when it comes to mental health, but also funds and funding. And so that's one of the biggest things that I think we need to accomplish, or come up with a way where we can offer opportunities for individuals that that's in the community.
So it's like when you mention barriers, I mean, there's so many, right? Just being a black man growing up in the city of Milwaukee, where we rank at the top of many of the worst lists across this country, right?
Yes.
I mean, literally, this state is the worst place to raise a black child. And so when you talk about barriers, we also got to think about the history of Milwaukee, that it was literally built on segregation. And so being at the county, we realized that a lot of this has been ingrained in our laws and our policies. So we, one, have to take a look within our laws and policies to see if we're serving the people well. But at the same time, as much as we want to serve the people well, we got to make sure that we can actually invest in people. And I think one of the biggest issues that we have seen in places like the city of Milwaukee and Milwaukee County, and I think it's in a lot of cities where you have majority people of color in, is that you have to start from a deficit place. You're always starting from cutting somewhere, rather being in a position to actually invest in communities. And so, the biggest barrier is the social determinants of health that we have to invest in. When we think about our environment, when we think about education, economics, so on and so forth, we have to be able to be put in a position to actually invest in the people that make up this community.
Yeah, it's interesting you touched on the housing component. For me, the two that stand out are, the structural one is housing. And I've become aware, I guess, kind of recently, talking to like Impact 211 and some of the, unsheltered communities, about how the Housing First movement really became popular, because they started to show that by not investing in people when they are homeless, you're investing more in them. You're basically paying more to hide away from a problem. And so we can pay less to solve a problem. So why don't we do that? It's a very simple equation. And the basic construct is you have to get people who oftentimes vote against or don't have an interest in housing people that they feel are causing their own problems, or are not a race or of a class that connects to them, to see that they're actually creating more of a problem for their own community, even though it seems like it's far away. And so that kind of comes down to the narrative issue. How do we message this? How do we message not only to other communities that have a power over, unfortunately, the resources we do get, how do we message it in ourselves? A lot of times within the community, we tell ourselves and our children these narratives and these stories that make them see themselves as inferior as well. So a lot of it just ties down to, at the meta level of, what are we telling ourselves? What do we believe ourselves? Are we seeing the reality of the empowerment we do have and the potential we do have? And then are we messaging that to other communities as well, so that they see that we are worth investing in, we are worth being equal to everyone else? And so those kind of two, with housing first, I think is a very simple one at the structural level. But then the narrative is a very, very important one that, oftentimes is just hiding there so powerfully underneath all of it.
Like he said, investing in people, investing in local people that are trying to make change. There's a lot of people up here that have businesses, organizations, and a lot of times we fail to pay attention to that and bring awareness to it. There's so many people in the city that probably don't even know what's available to them. And I feel like we get so drawn into social media, what celebrities are doing, sports, instead of putting our time and effort into what really matters, which is us, which is everything we do. And I think we need to bring awareness and light to these organizations that are really trying to help police reform, healthcare, education, all that. Growing up, I feel like the one thing that held me back was not knowing what I had available to me. So I think we need to shed some light on that too.